What's going on? How is everybody doing today? Today is going to be a special edition live. This is going to be coming from a different point of view. So, without further ado, I am Terrence Ramses, the CIO of the Royal Blossom Company, also the host of Thursday Night with Pineapple. Today, we're going to be doing Friday Night with Pineapple. One of our slogans, you just don't know which angle that we're going to be coming from, because we always like to talk to people from different professions, different industries, different walks of life, and we like to connect the dots on this podcast. So without further ado, those of you who do not know me, I'm originally from New Jersey, Caribbean background, the U.S. Virgin Islands and Puerto Rico, and I am the mission of my clothing brand is to restore, build, and create. To restore all the wealth and resources that have been lost in our communities, to build up the youth and children that are coming behind us, to create a unique commonwealth of like-minded entrepreneurs to put them back in their God-given purpose and talents. And our brand values is to be fun, spirited, and passionate about everything that we do. Okay, so without further ado, I'm going to show you these legendary tank tops that we got for pre-order. Okay, these are the white tank tops. Okay, so that right there is the electric lemonade white. That one right there is the blooming lavender, the Caribbean-based rhythm for men and women, and then we got the ocean blue oasis, and then we have another one for the men called the dragon culottes. So we like to do different extravagant names for our brand, because it's also a West Indian brand, also a laid back island feel, also not just in the West Indies but also different islands from Melanesia, Micronesia, Polynesia, the Solomon Islands, like anywhere that you think that you feel like you're on vacation, a nice vibe, a nice, chilling atmosphere to where people are fellowshipping, getting along, unity. This is one of my logos right here called the Caribbean-based Rhythm logo, or the We Are One roster logo as well. So I'm gonna go ahead and put this other
Feeling the
promotion
heat?
up
Why not look
right
just
now
as
for the
hot?
tank tops.
Fresh,
So go ahead and
breezy,
put
and
orders
built for
in.
island life. Our tank tops got you covered, or almost. Grab yours now before they're gone. Limited stock, mad deals. This is your chance to level up your style. Cool looks, hotter prices. Don't wait. Shop now today.
So that's the amazing promo. So go ahead, go to the website www.royalblossomcommunity.co. Okay, or you can scan this QR code right here. Scan this QR code; it'll take you right to the website. You'll see everything that you saw right there in that video. So we have some special promotions on the tank top. So we got 2 for $55 at the end of this month. Okay, at the end of this month. So we're gonna do that. Promotion is gonna last until April 30th. So the promo code is Island25. So you get $5 off the two for the twins. So the set of twins are the electric lemonade and the purple tank top, which is the blooming lavender rose. And you got the other twins is the dragon culotta and the ocean blue oasis. Okay, so I know that you were asking about the Caribbean-based rhythm. So the Caribbean-based rhythm is one of the most popular ones, the most popular colors. Okay, so we're going to do that one separately. So that one's going to be a separate entity within itself. However, you still can get a special promotion on that. If you subscribe to our mailing list, you can get $5 or $10 off. So we also have a special promotion with the blooming rewards, to where if you sign up and create an account, you also get $5 off for your next purchase. Also, if you subscribe to the list, you get 100 points. That'll be $10 off. So yeah, so let me go ahead and show you a couple of these things. I'm gonna put the QR codes up here. So this is the Caribbean-based rhythm. So if you scan this code, it'll take you right to the website as well. Give you a few seconds to do that, and it got a little shine to it. We also got the electric lemonade right here. One of our most popular one for the ladies as well. These are also razorback. They're gonna keep you nice and cool, They're not gonna shrink, they're not gonna fade. It's gonna last you throughout the summer. So that's why I'm trying to get as many tank tops in your hand as possible. Probably gonna expand our colors as well. Got the lavender rose right here. Here's the dragon culotta. And here is the ocean blue oasis. I change up the name so much on this, so I can't figure out which one I want to name this tank top because it's so unique. And we also have these golf polos that's going to be coming out in the summer. If you like to go golfing, if you like casual wear, if you are in the LinkedIn area, if you on LinkedIn, social media, that social media platform, if you like business meeting, professional meetings, this golf shirt is for you. And we also have another one as well. This is the Smooth Cayenne by V Red. This one is also on pre-order. This will be here sometime in June as well. So, without further ado, I would like to play a special video of our guest. Our guest is doing some great things. I had the pleasure of meeting her at Fashion Week last year. We connected. There was a lot of positive vibes. We just connected instantly, share some similar interests in the entertainment industry, entertainment and fashion, and we just stayed connected from there. I've been watching her grow with all her different events, and she's doing some great things out there in the Orlando area. But I'm gonna go ahead and play this video and give you a snippet of what we're gonna
Welcome,
talk
filmmakers,
about.
fans, and friends to Indie Cinema Showcase. I'm your host, Christina Carmona, and we are here in Sanford, Florida for the Love Your Shorts Film Festival. I'm going to check out some films and talk to some filmmakers, but first, we're going to head over to our guest host, Alana, who's at the opening night. It's spooky time, so I'm kicking it off right here at the Freak Show Horror Film Festival. Let's check it out. Welcome, filmmakers, fans, and friends to this Wild West episode of Indie Cinema Showcase. We're your hosts, Christina Carmona.
And I'm Nanda Luis Robin.
We are here at Dry Creek, an old western town. And a filmmaker right here is Deanna. Deanna, tell me about your film.
Different experience and wax displays. Here in Orlando, we have the Justice League.
The Love Your Shorts Film Festival was such a blast. A special thank you to the festival team and all the incredible filmmakers that make this so special. Remember, if you want to be featured on ICS, send us an email and follow us on our socials, Facebook at ICS TV and Instagram at ICS TV Show. They do a really great job at theming this place. This year it's Alice in Wonderland. But like Alice, I'm gonna go because I don't want to go mad.
Oh, you can't help that. Most everyone's mad here.
Well, everybody, that's a wrap. See you next time.
I don't think that I need to give her any type of more edification. I'm just gonna bring her on.
Hi.
How you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. I didn't know what clip you were going to show, so I was like, what's it going to be? What's it going to be?
I
It was a
know.
surprise.
That's what make this podcast so special. You don't know. I'm choosing the right ones too. How are
Yeah,
you
you
doing
did. You
today?
did. You did. I'm doing really, really well. How are you?
I'm amazing. I'm amazing. I cannot complain. It's hot outside, but we gonna manage that. We in
Yeah.
Florida. So yeah. So tell us a little bit about yourself, your background, where you from, and what's your current occupation.
Yeah. Okay. So originally I'm from New York. I'm from the Bronx, New York. That's where I was born and grew up. I've been an entertainer my entire life. So it is no surprise that I do what I do today. When I moved to Orlando, just fast forward from there. I worked at Disney. I worked at Universal, SeaWorld. I was a performer for all three. I became an entertainment event production coordinator for Universal Studios, and I did that for a few years. I helped open Diagon Alley. I worked on the Today Show, the Tonight Show, the Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt on Netflix. I helped open Reign of Kong and and Sapphire Falls Resort. I worked on horror nights. Like I got the whole Universal experience, right? During my time there. I did go to school for film. I'm an actress. That's how I started. I also wrote a lot growing up. I started writing at 12. I wrote a lot of poetry that turned into short stories, and then later on that turned into screenplays. So now um, I own and operate my own film company. It's been since 2011, so it's been some time. I also host and co-produce two television shows. One is all about indie filmmaking, indie everything indie. We go to schools, we go to cons. Uh, my gosh, just everything film. We cover it. The other it's called Destination Orange County, and then also it's like a hybrid. We're trying something new, Florida Travels, and that's like a Travel Channel style show where I get to travel all over Orlando and such, and do the fun stuff, and then tell everybody why Orlando and Florida is so awesome to visit. And then I also that's yeah, it doesn't stop there. I also MC for the Osceola Magic. It's the Orlando Magic's G League team. I have also been lucky enough to do some hosting for Orlando for their playoff watch parties, and that's a lot of fun. I'm also the city producer for the 48-hour film project Orlando. So that's the biggest time film competition in the world. It takes place in over 130 cities around the world, and I represent Orlando. And I'm also a children's book author. So yeah, I've that's my most recent thing. The one thing, I mean, I don't have any children or any nieces and nephews in the age range that I write for, so that was very different for me, especially writing films, poetry, and things of that nature, to go ahead and start writing children's books. I'm on my third, and my second book, the latest one, actually won an award recently. So it's been a cool thing. So, and I also I'm the queen at Medieval Times. And yeah, so I'm kind of like I'm definitely multi hyphenate, I guess, as I've been called before. I wear many hats, um, but I love them all. So that's a little bit about me.
That's a lot of stuff. Um, that's a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Okay,
All right.
so let's talk about your entertainment. So what inspired you to be in the entertainment industry from maybe even starting from the Bronx? Like what made you start getting into this field? What made you passionate about it? What's your vision and why about you getting into the film and MCing and starting your own business and all that other stuff like that?
All right. So as soon as I was old enough to really recognize those things, acting was something that I loved because I loved being able to jump into a, another like completely different person, essentially, because you're not yourself, you're playing someone else. And the ability to bring characters to life, that really intrigued me. I grew up watching lots of movies. My mom was, in particular, a big horror fan. So we watched a lot of horror movies. I fell in love with The Twilight Zone. I really, really like that. I really like the way Rod Serling told his stories, and how Twilight Zone was one of those. It was creepy, but just enough not super scary, and but it pulled the rug from underneath you, made you think. So that's kind of what made me go into that. I was very interested in creating that, and being a part of that world, and helping to create stories come to life, because we're always watching movies, we're watching TV shows, and these people are playing roles, and they suck you in, and they make you love them, they make you hate them, and I'm like, that's cool. I want to do that. And so that's what inspired me to get into the entertainment aspect, and it started with acting. Writing, um, I just had a lot of thoughts, and ideas and things like that. And if I would, if I was in any kind of mood, if I was mad, if I was sad, I was frustrated or whatever, I would just take pen to paper and I would write. And it turned into, it was more like spoken word style. And that developed into like, let's move that into like telling stories. I like to tell stories. I like to watch stories. And I never really did anything with those. And then I went to high school, And one of the high school classes was TV production. And I said, that's cool. Like TV, what, TV production, what are we going to do? And that's when I realized my love of like filmmaking and actually really creating something, because I was able to essentially take nothing and make something and watch people watch it and watch their reactions to something that I created, and then it makes them feel different things. And I feel like if you can do something, whatever it is, that can cause people to laugh, cry, get upset, be spooked out, any of that, that's real power. That's a, it's a really important thing, right? Because you can guide people to feel whatever it is that essentially you want them to. So there's that aspect of it. And I'll have to say, like, when I came to Orlando, I wanted to come to Orlando because, I lived in South Florida first. My mom came down before my dad did and any of my family. So she moved to South Florida. So I was in Fort Lauderdale. And I thought, I don't want to be here because this is not where, like, that stuff happens, like the fun stuff happens. I was like, Orlando's where, and there's great things happening in Fort Lauderdale. But of course, everybody sees Orlando. They're like, that's the Mecca. We have performers and all of that. So that's where I knew I wanted to be. And the quickest way that I got there was applying for the Disney College program. So I did that, and I was in entertainment, and I just never left. And that was in '07. And so, yeah, and I've been in Orlando since, and I've just continued to grow. And so when I decided that I wanted to make my own film company, what was going on is that I was new. I was super new. I didn't know really anybody. I didn't know not a single soul that wanted to do what I did. And I convinced one of my best friends, hey, you know what? Just make movies with me. Just do it. I promise it's gonna be great. And he was like, okay, cool. I'll do that. And because I was new, I didn't know how to find opportunities. So I made opportunities for myself. And I said, you know what? If you can't find the part, you create the part. I already write, I already act. I have a good knack for, putting things together. I've worked for Universal, and, I've seen how they put together events and, all things like that. So I was already, I already led things as it was. So I wasn't afraid to do that. And so, if you can't find the role you want, you create it. Right. And so that's what I did. And I utilized that time to create Bad Kitty Films. And Bad Kitty Films is actually a name that I've had, since I was a kid. I love the Cheshire Cat. That's my favorite character from Disney. And I said, he's like a bad cat, and I love cats. I'm a cat person and a dog person. And so Bad Kitty Films, and that's where that came from. And then from there, I just showed up. I went to school, decided, yes, I'm the creator, I'm the writer director, but I also want to know what the team does. I want to be able to grab a camera, light something. I want to be able to know what it takes to make a film, really. So I went to film school. And then right after film school, I did my first film. And that went on to win me a Telly Award, and it screened internationally. And that's when I knew, I was like, yeah, this is my thing. And from there, it just kept going. I kept showing up. I kept, breaking doors down, because, especially as a female in this industry, it is better. And I hate doing that thing, like male female thing, but I mean, it is true. It's hard. As a female, nobody really looked at me as a female, as a filmmaker, because it's like, you don't look like a filmmaker. I'm like, well, what does a filmmaker look like, right? Because I am one. So I was just creating my stories, and then and telling my stories. And I think that's important. If you have the ability to tell your, everybody, we need more stories. So one thing led to the other, and showing up and being places and being present in the community in this way kind of branched out into TV. And so I auditioned for a television show. I ended up getting it, and now I also help produce it, and it's doing fantastic. And then I was recommended as a host, and then that turned into me hosting, you know, basketball games. And before my dad passed away, we both have a dog. He had Otis, I had Theodore, and they are two peas in a pod. And he goes, "You should write a children's book. That would be so cute." I was like, "Dad, I don't do that." But it kept nagging at me, and I did it. And luckily, I was able to read the story before my dad passed away. But he wasn't able to see the final product. And then I didn't realize that that was something that I actually really enjoy, using my platform to teach kids something. I think especially them, they're so impressionable. And the world that we live in today is not necessarily even the world that we lived in 15 years ago. Things are changing so fast. So if you have the opportunity to put something good out, um, then do it. And if you can do that, especially if you're in like a creator of an artist of any kind. And so, yeah, I'm sorry, that's like a huge, but I had to go into like the whole timeline of kind of like how I ended up doing what I do today. And of course, I still perform, I still love acting, so I'm over at Medieval Times and I'm the queen there. I also recently learned falconry. So if you've been to the show, if you haven't, there's also a falcon that we fly around the arena, and I got to learn how to do that. Yeah. So I'm feeling extremely blessed and grateful, and for opportunities, even opportunities like this, to talk to people and to just reach out and help guide people, give advice, all of those things.
Okay. What school did you graduate from?
I went to the First Institute.
Where is that?
That's here in Orlando. Yeah,
Orlando.
it's kind of like they're not the same. I mean, they are. They're both film schools, but it's like a Full Sail first school. First really fast tracks you into the field. So it was definitely a great choice for me. It worked with the fact that I was working so much. You know what I mean? Because sometimes you go to school and you're like, well, I'm in the like I need kind of school to work for me, but I still want to go to school. How do I do this? So that was a great choice for me, and they've expanded so much. I was just at their campus yesterday, and it's beautiful. It's beautiful.
Okay, so what would you say the difference is between the film school you went through and Full Sail? What's the difference?
So I haven't been to Full Sail, so I can't give like specifics, but from what I've heard, from what I know, for me at the time when I signed up to go to First, it was a fast track. Like I got right into it. You know what I mean? I was like, okay, I'm already in the industry, so I kind of want to learn these things quickly, and I don't want to be necessarily a DP, but I want to know what a DP does because that's just going to make me an asset. You can never stop learning. That's only going
Right.
to benefit you, especially at the end of the day. If people are looking to hire you versus someone else and they've got to split hairs, they might be like, well, you know what? We can't use Christina for this, but we can use her for that because she knows that. So I mean, right? So their program just worked for me and for what I was looking for, and also it's not like as expensive. So then that's a huge plus. Um, you don't not everybody wants to come out of school owing like $100,000, necessarily. So that was the benefit, and they have really small class sizes, so I got a lot of one-on-one time, and they're always checking in with you. I don't know if Full Sail does that, but like I graduated in 2012, and I'm still connected with them today. Like I do my 48-hour film project kickoffs. Like they're still, yeah. So I love that. I love that I'm able to go back and have that kind of relationship with the school that I went to. It's fantastic.
Okay. Okay, that sounds good. That's good. That's a good thing to have a connection with your school. They
Yeah.
fast track you. Um, they help the students get into the industry because a lot of times, like when people invest in the college and they invest into degrees and their higher education, as we would say, and a lot of people, let's be honest, they did it just because their parents wanted them to do it. It's not because
That part. Yep.
they're
That
not
part.
really that passionate about it, but they can settle to do something else like trades. Like a lot of men, we just do trades, or if we do go to school, we're gonna go to school for something specific. Like for example, we'll either do something like in the arts like fine arts or something like that, or we'll do something like with our hands, like with STEM.
Right.
STEM, the STEM, if people don't know what STEM is, it's science, technology, engineering, and math. So those are the things and those high income earning skills to where you can once you go to school for a certain amount of time, you'll come out and you're gonna go ahead and make you some money, and you're gonna make a significant amount of money and not have all the
Right.
college debt. And that's something that I talk about on my podcast before. Excuse me, but that's good that you did that and you found a organization in a school that would put you in a place of success, because
Yeah.
in a lot of these schools, they unfortunately You know, you're
Once you
not.
leave, that's it.
That's it. You
That's
know, that's
it.
all we
All
got
right,
for
these are
you.
your student, these are your student loans when you're gonna pay back. Like, it's that, and you kind of are left in the dark, and
Yep.
that's not what they do there. So it's really cool. And then to see how much is expanded, and more people can go to it, and they've got like graphic design now. So like it's a plethora of different things now. So it's cool. It's good to see that because yeah, one thing I definitely didn't want to do was go to college and for the thing I didn't really want to do. I know in the beginning, my parents, and rightfully so, I get it, especially, I obviously, wasn't born during this exact time where now people are making money watching people play video games or playing video games. You know what I mean? They were trying to get us away from that. And now it's like you can do that and make money because people are watching you. It's a wild situation. So that's not where, that's not the time I grew up. So, saying that you wanted to be in entertainment, saying you wanted to be an actress or, a filmmaker, that, I could see, especially during that time, how that could seem so unattainable. You know what I mean? On top of the fact that I felt like I already had everything against me because when I used to watch Nickelodeon, I used to watch these shows, I realized that none of that ever looked like where I was. You know what I'm saying? I grew up in the projects, right? So I'm watching, Sabrina the Teenage Witch and all these, and they got the white picket fence. They got these, and I'm like, man, this only happens for people who live here. This can't happen. And nobody taught me that. It was just, you realize what you learn just by watching. Like you come up to these, you come across your own assessments, right? And I'm like, this can't happen for a kid like me because I have to get here first for that to happen. And it was hard, and I didn't know, and I didn't think that was for me. And any time where I lived was depicted or something like me, in general, it was always bad. It was always negative. It was always the movies with the crime, and it was, and I get it, but also like when that's the only thing that you see comes from a place like where you come up from, you don't get enough of that positive. Like, no, there's people who've come from exactly where you are and they're doing this now. There wasn't a lot of that. So initially my parents were like, okay, you sure you don't want to be like a nurse? I'm like, trust me, if I wanted to be a nurse or anything else that had a more guarantee, I'd be doing that, but my heart's not in it. And so, and that's why I also, I know the entertainment industry is something that's difficult in the sense of, it not being something that's maybe feasible. Like you have to have a job and then this job to make your dream a reality. And so I worked extra hard to make sure that, like, when I woke up and went to work every day, it was exactly where I wanted to be and what I want to do. And that's where I'm at now. And I am just so grateful, and I feel so blessed. And I can't even say lucky, right? Because lucky would be undermining my hard work and dedication. Because we all have like luck, but also it wasn't just luck. And I want to make sure everybody knows that, because it's, if you're trying to get into this field, it takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of no's, and it takes a lot of stress, and unpredictability. Because you saw when 2020 happened, the first thing everybody wanted to do was like, we have to stay inside, let's watch Netflix. They run to entertainment, but as soon as all of that happened, everybody took entertainment away. We were seeing less um, entertainers in the theme parks. They were taking all those shows away, and it's like, well, this is like the entertainment essentially is like the lifeblood, right? Because we want to listen to music, we want to wear nice clothes, like all of that is art, all of that is creatives, right? And um, but yet I feel like we're all considered the job that's not a real job, but it is. And I wake up every day, and this is what I do. And so I didn't have anybody navigate me and teach me the ways. And I could just hope that, as people like us who are doing it and who are living it, um, we can create, the lights that lead into pathways that maybe help the next people coming up navigate that just a little bit easier. My journey is not everybody else's journey. To me, there's no like secret sauce, secret code into how you get into this, because somebody could just start and get the thing I wanted for like 2 years. And I'm like, how, the hell is that? But that's just the way, right? We can just help each other. There's space for everybody. So, um, for me, that's just super important to always come back and do things like this. What you're doing is fantastic because you're bringing people together. That's exactly it. That's what we have to do. We have to find each other and help each other.
Absolutely. So I can relate to you when it comes to when you used to watch those things when we was kids in the '90s, and we used to watch um, Legends of Hidden Temple. Are You Afraid of the Dark? We used to
Right.
watch all those shows um, from Nickelodeon. So Nickelodeon Studios is in Orlando,
Yeah.
and that was always the dream to come down here. But coming from the Northeast, our parents didn't really have no money to really do that.
Right.
And
And it was you couldn't really do like how I'm thinking about it. I'm like, how could they do that? Now it's just, oh yeah, you just go on the internet, look up an agent or do whatever. Like back then it was like, I don't know what you gotta go here. So yeah, I expect our parents wouldn't know really
yeah,
like
yeah, that too. And what got me is when I used to see Universal on TV, and also used to see Caribbean Carnival late at night when we was watching Cablevision. Like I already knew something was wrong. Like I know people. This is not the only way of life to be living. Like people just wake up mad, angry. Okay, I identified when I was 14, 15 years old. There's something wrong. I said, I gotta leave here. I gotta leave New York City. I gotta leave New Jersey. I gotta go down. I gotta I gotta go. This ain't gonna work. So I came
right.
down here, started something new, started fresh, started opening up my mind, start seeing things from a different point of view, and wanted to be, entrepreneur, work on the fine arts, work on the design and all of that. And that's one of the things, just had to get out of that type of environment too to
Right.
overcome different challenges and stuff. So I'm gonna get into this nuts and bolts of this. So what coming out of the Bronx, New York. Coming out of the Bronx, New York. Okay. So
Mhm.
now let me ask you this. Because we all had our different stories, we all have our different testimonies and different points of view. Some people was popular kids, some people was bullied, some people was the quiet kids, the nerds. I want to ask you this. So what would you say, being from that area, what was the hardest part of fulfilling your dreams, relocating, and what was the adversity that came with you being passionate about what you was it people picking on you? Was it people trying to dim your light, or people think that you was better than them? What's your story coming out of the Bronx when you're chasing your vision and goals?
So that's a really good question, and it's something that like I have never been asked, and something that like yeah. I first of all, like I didn't want to move to Florida. Like I didn't want to come to Florida. Like my dad was still, you know, in New York, my siblings, and so because I was the youngest, my mom was like, "You're gonna come with me," and so when I was in New York, being the youngest by far of my siblings, I was very much like I was the baby, so I was kind of like coddled and protected. And the school that I went to St. Anselm School. It's in the Bronx. It's a Catholic school in the Bronx, and my siblings had gone there. You know, my brother-in-law, like it was family, like passed down. So like before I got into certain grades, the teachers already knew me because they knew my brother, they knew my sisters. So I felt like, I don't know, I felt protected in that sense. And, I felt like I was pretty, I was popular when I was in school. So I don't know. I felt really interestingly enough, I was performing and doing all that stuff in New York, but it really wasn't until I was kind of pulled out of that safety and I came to Florida that it propelled me like a lot to move into what I wanted to do because I felt like I don't know, I guess being around like I felt like the support in a different way and then I suddenly wasn't, so I didn't know anybody, and then I came from New York, so when I started this new school in South Florida, um I was out of place. I was immediately like out of place because I had a different vibe, completely come from the Bronx and then like Sunshine State kids and all of that. And I was somebody that like, I wanted to wear like sports bras, and I was like not, I was a kid, and then I came here, and then like girls were rolling up their skirts and doing all that, and I'm like, what? You know what I mean? It was like that. And so I felt like I had to like grow up here and really just kind of figure out who I was, because I didn't have my sisters or my brother or my family to kind of like help me navigate that. So yeah, so it was a struggle in coming here to Florida for me as a young kid, and not knowing how to navigate that, because my mom just kind of like, here you go, here's your school, different state. We left in the summer, and then like school started in, just a few months. So I was like, that it was a completely different thing that like blew my mind, and I hated it at first. And so that's really and that propelled me into writing poetry, because I had a lot of feelings and emotions, and I'm like, how do I, and so that's when I started writing. So I feel like all of that started here. And then when it came to just the support, again, like my family was never not supportive of what I wanted to do. But again, I think that it was really just one of those things that maybe I think, was it just a fad? This is just a part of what Christina likes. That's not really gonna be what she does. And so it was kind of proving to everyone, um, that I have to make this work, because I didn't want to prove everybody right. Right? You know what I'm saying? And that's also a prideful thing, because you should be doing it for yourself. But growing up, also in a Hispanic family household, they already have a plan for you, right? I don't know if that was like that for you, but it's like, this is what you're gonna do, and this is how you're gonna be. And my siblings already kind of like, they had that kind of thing, and they knew like what they want to do. My sister, she wanted to do like pharmacy and all that great stuff. My sister was great. My other sister was, great at hair and a nurse. She's naturally good with people and patients and things. And here I was like, performing, I want to. And so it was difficult, navigating that, but I think Florida really propelled me into doing that, because I was suddenly the only child, and I just had to like think different, do things different, and I utilized that to help push forward. And the fact that my family was supportive was cool, but the fact that they weren't also did help propel that even further. And I think that's why I went so steadfast into what I was doing, because I wanted them to know that like this is a serious thing. And yeah, so it's pretty much it. I hope I answered that. It was kind of like, I've never been asked that, and that was a good question.
Yep, yep, yep. That's how I do. And audience, so what she said is she stopped breathing in them toxic fumes in NYC, so she got time to
I got
actually
that
think into
sun.
her.
That
She got some sun, some ocean, and she started writing down her ideas. She actually started functioning properly.
yeah, yeah.
That's what she
You know,
said.
that's
Just
basically it,
that's what
right?
she said. She stopped breathing in them chemicals, the bus fuels, the train,
And I
the
got to
project
thinking clearer.
odors. She just all that's been released in the sunshine. So she started really operating purpose and really started, putting things into perspective. Like on the real, I'm joking, but on the
Yeah,
real,
yeah.
sometimes when you coming from that area, it just don't stop.
No,
It
right,
don't. It never stops. It never sleeps. You don't get time to think. You can't look at the sky. There's no place where you can go event because it's just loud. Everybody's going. Everybody
right.
hustling. They doing this. They doing this. They doing that. But like when you come down here, it puts you. It slows you down. So a lot of people from up
Yes,
north do adjust of it, but a lot of people don't because they so used to going and going and going,
right,
not
right,
taking no breaks. And honestly, that's not really healthy for you when you're constantly going, and you ain't got time to really operate in purpose. I know we gotta, pay our bills and all of that,
right.
but it's also when you operate in purpose and you know what your vision is, and you writing down your ideas and things. They may not come into fruition now, but you work towards it. And sometimes you just have to change your environment, change your people, change everything. You got to get uncomfortable.
Absolutely. And I love what you said right then, because this is a big thing, that I see all the time, is that people are like, oh man, I worked 80 hours, I worked 60 hours, and it's like, well, I worked 20 hours, I worked this, and it's like, it's not a good thing to be overworked. And I don't care even if you love what you do immensely, and I love everything that I do, but you could still have burnout and still love what you do. So you don't have to be like, oh, if I say that I'm burned out, then people are going to think that I don't like my job. No, we're human. We're not made to go go go. So, um, you know, boasting or being like, oh, I worked 80 hours this week. That's not people try to flex, and I'm like, that's not really. I don't want to. Who wants to work 80 hours? And even if you love what you do, again, burnout still exists no matter what. I don't care who you are. You can still get burnout.
That's why people up north that's why they so snappy and angry. They can't tell you why they mad. I'm like, why you mad? Did you just wake
Right.
up mad? What you mad about? They can't even tell you what you mad. Like, man, what you mad about?
That is
I don't
true.
know. I'm just mad. So sometimes you just gotta change. You just gotta roll with the punches and change your environment and just go back. Don't ever forget where you come from, but at the same time, you just know that there's better opportunities.
Yeah.
And God has blessed you and myself to see a bigger picture, see something just different. And I in our teenage years, we were able to see like, okay, some ain't right here. This can't be as far as we go. This got to be more
Right.
life than this. Cause you see things on TV, you're like, nah, this is better. I'm like, when I got to Florida myself, when I got my Florida in 2007, I said, I ain't never going back there. I can't go
Yeah.
back to Italy because it's just more flexible. You're able to do more, and you're able to just really tap into your creativity. It's more family oriented, and people you'll meet more people from up north. And it's the mindset is still the same. People got here. You take that mindset and apply it into another environment and go
Right.
after your goals and visions and dreams, which is good. That's what you're good. So let me ask you this:
Hmm.
you talked about just different industries and different things that you dibble and dabble in. So before I get into your company, I want to touch on this. How did you come up with writing children's books? What inspired you to do that?
I love this question. I love this question. So, I think Otis was just there. Okay, he put his head down. But one of my dogs walking by. So, I had a dog, Theodore, and my dad and adopted him. And my parents didn't have a dog. My parents lived in. Well, my mom still is there, but they live in Port St. Lucie, so that's about 2 hours south. And they loved Theodore, and it inspired them to go and adopt a dog. So I was like, okay, y'all adopting a dog? Okay, that's crazy. So they got Otis, and both of them are like the sweetest dogs, literally. But they hate other dogs, right? And when they met, they were like two peas in a pod. So we were like, wow, they get along. We didn't even have to worry about anything. That's strange. So me and my dad, he was walking Otis, I was walking Theodore, and he's like, Theodore noticed that sounds like a kids movie, like or something kids. And I'm like, yeah, that'd be a cute little story, Theodore noticed and how they get along. And he's like, you should write something like that. And I was like, Dad, I don't write for, like, I wouldn't know the first thing about writing for children. um and he was like, no, I think you should, and think about it. And so then I was, and then but I kind of pushed it off. But honestly, it was something that just kept nagging at me. Like, it kept coming up in my mind. Like, should I write that? Should I do this? Like, you know what I mean? And then my dad, every time I would talk to him, he'd be like, "Are you writing that? How's the book going?" And then I finally decided. I said, "Okay, if I'm gonna do this, though, I'm gonna do this right." Um, so I did a lot of research. I read a lot of books about writing children's books. I went to Barnes and Nobles and different bookstores, and I was in the children's book section just reading these kids' books. Kids are looking at me like I'm weird. You know what I mean? They're like, "What is this grown lady, you know, reading my books for?" And but that's what you have to do because you want to see what other people are doing, book sizes, the way they looked, how they read, and then I said, you know what, let me try it. And so I'll tell you what, it was writing for children, as much as it might seem super easy, right? Because you open a children's book and it's like one line and two lines here. For me, as somebody that writes screenplays where everything has to be detailed, to have to take a whole thoughtful idea and, for lack of a better word, dumb it down to essentially like a line or two, and get the whole story across and make it profound enough for kids to read and to want to read again and to love. That was a difficult feat. And then I wanted to make it rhyme, and I'm like, what the? I just made it harder on myself. So I ended up creating a story based on Theodore Notice, and I decided to make it Theodore Notice Find Their Forever Home. So I made up how they met. So I gave them like their own like little origin story, right? They met at the shelter, but it was, Theodore is an older dog than Otis, and in the book it references how, like, older dogs get overseen. So I thought if kids read this and say they're wanting to get a new pet, parents can buy them a book that reflects getting a new pet and how that is, and going to the shelter and picking a shelter dog and the importance of going to the shelter. These are dogs that have been left either by the death of a family member, or people just buy a dog or buy a cat and they're like, I don't want them anymore, and they just dump them. So I gave them that origin story, and my dad, I read the story to my dad and my mom, and my dad loved it, and he said, Christina, I love that it rhymes. Just make sure that the pictures are colorful. Kids are gonna love this. And so the whole ordeal in Ukraine actually happened at that moment. And when I found my illustrator, because she's actually from Ukraine, and that had to take a little a halt, right? And then my dad passed away, and then shortly after he passed away, I got in contact. My illustrator got in contact with me again, and she goes, "I've escaped to the Czech Republic. I would like to help you write this book if you're still interested." I said, "Absolutely." And I created the book, and I finally had this book, and I was like, "Wow, this is crazy." And I pushed it, and I pushed it, and I did everything that I could, and I got into places, I got into schools, I traveled all around Florida. My goal was, before I even had the book, was to get into Barnes and Noble, because that's where my dad used to always take me. And I got a reading at Barnes and Noble, and my book is sold. You can find it on Barnes and Noble. And I had the biggest turnout that they've ever seen at that location. And from there, I realized I loved it so much, writing for kids, and I got the feel of it. I decided to make Theodore Notice a series now. So now they're going to go on different adventures. So that's when I came up with Theodore Notice, Paw Prints Under the Sea. So this one, they're going to the beach, and they meet a sea turtle and help him out of. He's like wrapped up in some twine and some garbage, and then he teaches them the importance of helping our oceans, and why we should. And they take that from him, and then that one ended up winning an award. And my books have gone over to the Galapagos. Yeah, as far as the Galapagos Islands, I've gotten videos of these children using my book to learn English. And it's just done so much more than I could ever imagine. And it was literally just an idea my dad kind of threw at me, and something that kind of just nagged at me. And that's when I realized, I'm like, man, when you got that oomph, like that feeling and that push that you don't even know where it comes from, that you should do something, do it or try it, because that's like divine, whatever you believe in, right? I believe in God, and that's God telling me, no, like, this is for you. And it it's proven right for me, because now I'm on my third book. And June, I just received a check in the mail for bulk order that I had for my books. And I don't know, it's just, that's kind of where that stemmed from. So it was just kind of a personal thing that I was trying, and I put my heart into. And yeah, this is where we're at now. Third book coming up, maybe in the wintertime. It'll be done, hopefully.
It's a good accomplishment. Congratulations on everything that you've accomplished with your books. Let's keep on going. Stay encouraged and stay positive.
Thank you.
Sometimes it can be discouraging when it comes to writing. You get writer's block, and from time
Yes.
to
And
time.
AI, people creating books in a weekend, and you're like, and not using like artists. That's a whole other topic, but um, that kind of stuff can really like hurt, because I've worked so hard, and to think that somebody just woke up one day and was like, I'm gonna write a book, you know, and yeah, so.
Yeah. So before we close, I want you to tell us about Bad Kitty Films. Tell us about that. What do you do and the services you offer, any if applicable?
Yeah, so Bad Kitty Films, it's an all around company. Um, we can do anything from voiceovers to films. I don't produce films because it's just that's just too hard. That's too much to like put on my plate to produce other people's films. I produce my own, but I have done PSAs. We can do video auditions. Right now, I utilize my company more for. It depends. It depends. If you write me and you need something done, it's kind of like as it comes, as I get inquiries for it, because right now because I'm doing so many other things, I kind of put that at halt. So I'm doing my own projects, but I'm always open. Like it's like as it comes. Like people in realty, they want a video done. I could do things like that. We have drones, so we can use the drones to do those cool house shots, photography, headshots, all that kind of stuff. So it's kind of an all-encompassing company.
Okay, that sounds good. So, how do the people reach you to get a part of your organization? How do they reach you for your to purchase your books, and how do they contact you for like hosting different events and TV shows? How do the people reach you?
Yeah, so you can reach me by going on badkittyfilmsllc.com. There you will find information about my company. And from there you can also it takes you right to my IG. You can also go on my personal um, website. That's christinalcarmona.com. And you can find me on IG at xtinalindsay. I'm everywhere. You just type in Christina Carmona. I'm sure it'll pop up, and you can email me. All of that stuff will pop up in the same thing. And Theodore Notice. You can write theodorenotice.com will take you directly to the Amazon page where you can buy the first book. But from the first book, you can actually find the second one. So, yeah, I try to make it easy.
There you go. There you go. Do you have any closing remarks, comments, or concerns before we get up off of here?
I think the only thing is that whoever's watching, whoever will watch, in that sense, because I know it's Friday. Um, if you came from a place like me and felt like I did growing up, in that like this is unattainable just because of maybe the mindset of the place around you, or the people around you, I'm here to tell you that you absolutely can. And it's easy for somebody who's in it to say that, but no, I had to navigate this myself, and I know what it feels like to have to do that on your own. And I am here to say that it is absolutely possible. So keep going, keep pursuing your dreams, keep telling stories, keep creating, because especially in a world where AI is kind of taken over, we need that. We need human stories. We need just more human emotion and work and art.
Yep, and she's right. And I'm gonna end it off with this famous quote that I always come up with, and I say it all the time. Once you discover how unique you are, you begin to change the world around you.
I love that.
So, with that being said, we're gonna get up out of here. We're gonna also have another phenomenal guest next week. Christina, we thank you for coming on. You've done an
Of
amazing
course.
job,
Thank
and
you.
I'm everybody. I want y'all to reach out to her. She gonna get back to you. She gonna help you out, whatever you need help with. Just contact her. Feel free to reach out to her. She's out there in Orlando, Florida, doing some big things. She's busy, so you got to get on the schedule. Okay, you got to get on the schedule ahead of time. So, with that being said, everybody, till next Thursday, we'll see you out. Take care, everybody.